and I think I heard it with Sergio podcast, is the it's the staggered feedings and the accelerating the fermentation process for production. And I haven't been able to speed up myself. I'm fermenting pretty cool temperatures because I'm looking for nice flavors, like low, the nice. I'm trying to avoid higher alcohols and harshness, and I found with the traditional meads, it's pretty slow in my experience. It could take 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not in a hurry either. I'm happy with what I get. But with fruit, it's like a rocket. If you have any fruit at all, it just really it really enhances fermentation. And sometimes I'll even put some fruit in the beginning and some fruit at the end in varying amounts, so I can get a good fermentation, and then I can put fruit in after the primary and maybe capture some of that fruit essence post fermentation and not lose it through the carbon dioxide blowing off and blowing a lot of maybe floral essence, sometimes fruit essence. And it's another thing I noticed with yeast. Different yeasts impart different esters, and I've noticed it a lot with Riesling or Vignoles grapes, especially. I've noticed it more what the yeast can do, and sometimes I'll get banana with the Riesling. Sometimes I'll get pineapple, grapefruit. It's just awesome taste. But it, like on the Vignoles, it will change from grapefruit, pineapple, like more grapefruity, and it'll morph into this stone fruit apricot nectarine, and it always ends up with more stone fruit. But it's interesting what the yeast can do and what they can contribute to a wine or a mead, a grape wine or a mead. So you did mention, I think we were talking previously, we're talking yeast. Well, we use a lot of different yeast, and everything I've ever used seemed to work pretty good. It's I don't think there's any silver bullet. There's some, depending on what you want to do and the nutrient conditions, the temperatures. But generally, most of the Saccharomyces are the hybrids, the Banus. They work pretty darn good. And I've been exposed to a lot of different yeasts now with the red wines and the white wines that will work really nice in meads too, especially white wine yeast.
Have you played with blending yeast at all? Because Manny's not here, so I have to ask this question for him.
I did have years ago. The first winemaker I worked with, partnered up with, sometimes he would do a double pitch, and I don't know. You're always gonna. You might have. It seems to me one of the yeasts might. Yeah, and this is not science, but I don't have any hard evidence. But I would imagine there's always going to be one yeast that might be predominant. But it's not something that's easy to measure. Having two yeasts, other than if you had a difficult initiating a fermentation, I would try different yeasts. But I have to say this, and of all the reading I've done with people having issues of stuck fermentations, I've never had a stuck fermentation.
Interesting.
That we couldn't fix. I mean, one thing about lacto, though. Lacto is well known in the wine world, and I read this through ETS Lab report that it puts the hurt on Saccharomyces. It can slow it down. So certain species of lactobacillus can slow down Saccharomyces. And I think that was an issue in the wine world. Sometimes people they might use sulfur, they might use meta if they have an issue with a lot of bacteria, like the grapes were, I don't know, they weren't in the best condition, the weather was bad, they got molds. Sometimes they'll treat it with the sulfur first and let it sit and then pitch. So but anyways, I've had really good success with almost any yeast I've used. Some of them will ferment more alcohol than you want. I think Michael Fairchild mentioned, if I'm correct, he mentioned he uses 71B a lot, and I've suggested that to my wife Sharon at times, where she wants, because he doesn't have chilling capability. I suggest once you use like a yeast. I think there's an Australian yeast. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Number's 305. I've used that one too. It's like a 71B, so it kind of stalls out about 13%, 12, 13, and that's a nice way to get a mellow mead. It's not.
I'd like to know more about that one. I don't know.
And Amish pops out of the woodwork here.
It's the big yeast company down in Australia. They have some really nice yeast. Australia's got it happening in the wine world. It's great wine.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know the company you refer to being based in Australia, though. Mostly we use Lalvin or Safali or unnamed stuff.
Yeah, I might be able to get up with you later, but you could get 71B for people that are trying to do mead at home without the chilling capability. Just pick out a yeast that leaves some residual sugar, and it won't be so harsh. Of course, you could always back sweeten it some more if you had to taste. As a winemaker, mead maker, you're always adjusting things in the front end or back end, and sometimes you get lucky and it's perfect. It's just perfect when it's done. So
it's interesting. If you Google Australian yeast, it comes up with Vegemite, among other things.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, but there, as far as I can see, there is not an Australian yeast company, but there's an Australasian yeast group that maintains a database of yeasts.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that sounds.
I'm still not sold on
intriguing.
making a Vegemite Mead, though.
Yeah, we've been talking back and forth. But I keep telling him Vegemite's nasty, and he keeps telling me it's not. And,
Oh boy.
It's kind of
You may just have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an ongoing thing. But
yeah.
So, okay, I gotta ask a couple of different questions. One, do you do a lot of experimentation before coming up with whatever your next thing is? I mean, is it like I'm playing around and, hey, this looks good, or do you set out with like a plan in mind?
We do. But it's not all year. Right now we're actually getting to that place. We just put up, we just got all the red wines in the barrels. All the white wines are done and crashed. They're all all the jackets are snowed up and iced up. Everything's, and so now we got a minute to, I got a whole tank of draft base.
Oh, yeah?
That we're allocating to one-offs, which are, we're going to do batches of maybe 25 6 barrels per one-off. And so I got myself, our lead winemaker, and the two apprentices, and I suggested everybody come up with some ideas.
Did he just cut out for you guys?
Yeah.
That's correct. We lost him.
Okay. All right. Hang on, campers. Let me see if I can get him back. I think we just lost him.
He's still talking to himself. I've got the notes to where he needs to start over.
Yeah, okay. All right, hang on, people. We're going to try and get Kirk right back here. I'm going to just re-add him to the group because we seem to have lost the connection. If I can get the thing to let me do it. Hang on, I'm working on it. For whatever reason, he's not coming up in my list. Oh, for gosh sakes. All right, AJ, you guys, both of you, jump in. Well, I gotta.
You want the commercial?
Yeah, go ahead and do the commercial because I gotta pull him back in for whatever reason. My system didn't save it.
All right, sure. Sleeping Bear Farms produces honey products from the star thistle fields of northern Michigan and tupelo flowers of the Florida Panhandle. We offer bulk honey in 3 floral varieties as well as cinnamon honey, honey mustards, honey spreads, and honey sticks. Our bulk tupelo, wildflower, and star thistle honeys, available in sizes from 1 pound to 600 pounds, are perfect for mead making and home brewing. Try some today. Order at sleepingbearfarms.com.
Oh, hey.
Hey, we lost you for some reason. Yeah, you dropped off. AJ, where we lose him?
Vicky had just asked whether you do a lot of experimentation, and you were saying that now that you've got your wines laid down, it's time for experimenting with the tank of draft base.
Yeah, and you got to we and the winemaker and the apprentices are, and then you went blank.
Okay. So we got about maybe 40 different roots, barks, spices in right now. We've been ordering up in for different projects, and I think I have about 25, 30 different fruits coming in.
Wow!
From a couple suppliers. So everyone's got some different ideas, and we're mixing them up in quart jars. We kind of come up with different trials and different mixes, and we do like. For spices and barks and roots, we'll do. We put it in cold soak it in different amounts and measure it and label the jars and see what flavors we can pull. And we also have a kettle. I've got my beer system, so we can boil bark and roots and extract the flavor. And I've got this draft base. I got a 1,000-gallon draft base that I'm allocating to one-offs. So we're going to come up with some interesting. When you come back, Vicky,
you got to save me some, Kirk, because it won't be before next summer. I'm going to be I'm roving the U.S. For at least part of next summer, so I'm pretty sure I can work in a trip to Michigan for a few days on my way west. We can come up there and then head out the UP and on our way to Montana and then Washington after that. So.
Awesome.
But you'll have to save me some of these one-offs because they won't last long if you're just going to do shorty batches,
Generally, for us, these one-offs, they'll last 6 months to a year. I mean, just depending, because we have so much to offer people. They cannot taste in one visit. It's going to take 3 or 4 visits to taste. We may have 8 or 9 red wines. 8 white wines and all the drafts. There's tons of drafts. We can't.
That's
even get
true. Yeah,
that.
I had to pick and choose when I was there last time because there was so many.
I'm adding 6 new taps.
Wow!
So when you come back,
you had like 9 taps when I was there last time. Jeez, what's a girl to do, man?
Repeat offender, that's what.
Yeah, well, of course, it's my local meadery. I have to go when I go home. It's like a moral imperative. Yeah.
well, it's interesting. We've built up a pretty good growler howler fan club. I mean, it surprised me because there's a pretty good brewery by us. It's a Michigan brewery called Shorts. Great beers and
oh yeah, I know Shorts.
And Shorts, yeah, sure. And the guy that does our silk screening for the bottles, the growlers, is telling us like we're almost selling as much as Shorts. We're
Wow.
not far behind them.
Nice.
That surprised me.
Oh,